Hello and welcome to the TMC Newsroom. My name is Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching. We're here at Interop 2011 in Las Vegas, Nevada. On our program is Michael Issa. He's the CEO of Quipu Applications. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
So tell me about Quipu Applications. What do you do?
Well, Quipu Apps is a cloud-based application, and we're revolutionizing the way entrepreneurs interact with investors and their stakeholder groups.
How?
So it is a business planning tool at the core. It's a business plan application that creates full financials that are audited Pricewaterhouse financials that literally will create on a monthly basis, hundreds of those. And our business plan users, if you're an entrepreneur or a startup, you can create your business plan with your team and collaborate all the different pieces of that plan with your investors and with your stakeholder groups. So it's a social application. It works like Facebook or LinkedIn, except it has financials and documents that are your business plan that you can granularly share with anyone that you'd like.
Now you mentioned hundreds of those. What were you referring to?
So an income statement, a balance sheet, a statement of cash flows, the various ratios that a typical financial report would be at the end of a year or a reporting period for a company.
So you mentioned the social aspect. So as an investor, I invest in a company and now I've got real-time access to some degree, right? Potentially, depending on how often the data is input, to see not only the business plan, but the execution against the plan. So as an investor, I have unprecedented visibility and transparency into what's happening in the financials and the management of the organization.
That is absolutely correct. It is what we call deal instrumentation for the investor.
Now, you mentioned social, so that fascinated me. Does that mean now that I can have a group of investors, a board of directors, participants, and others within the organization commenting, for example, on, let's say, expenses increased on hiring 20, let's say that we have 20% more people year over year, I'm able to actually flag that and point to it and post a question saying, why have we increased our hiring by 20%, and then in theory the company or someone else would respond with the reason, and maybe they would point me to part of the business plan that shows that we're getting into a new market. For example, let's say we're getting into the healthcare vertical, so we're targeting healthcare, and so we get 20% more people to go after that market, and we expect in 3 years to increase revenue an additional 10 million as a result of the 20% increase, something like that?
That's exactly correct. So I'll even take it one step further. The investor who is looking at that 20% can take the entire model, create a clone of that model, and tweak the different components of it such that they might be able to improve the gross profit margins or whatever they're trying to do, and then collaborate that with others to get confirmation. And if in fact they choose to implement that model, they can put that as the new business model. So it allows them the insight that you were describing on a real-time basis. You were describing 20% increase in cost based on the increase in personnel that are required. But it can even be more simple than that. Consider a company that has an exceptional quarter. They met their numbers. But there's a team in the Southwest that really blew out their number. When an investor shoots a quick text to do the application to that individual sales team, it spreads throughout the company, instantaneously motivating the activity that you want. And so it gives them insight, it allows them participation.
So you're a relatively new company, so I don't know how far you've built this out or how far you've planned ahead, but it seems to me that by having large amounts of data regarding business plans in the cloud over time, that investors will be able to leverage analytics to see best practices in organizations in terms of return on investment and return on capital and gross margins and GS&A and things like that. And I'm not an accounting person, but I've seen enough financial statements to be dangerous. So those different areas to say that these are out of, like, let's say these numbers are out of whack with industry norms, they're either higher or they're lower, and try to delve into that. Is that correct? And that can be done in an automated fashion.
It can absolutely be done in an automated fashion. What you're talking about is why we're here at Interop today. So we introduced our business model product, which is our application that we're describing, and our incubator product, which we announced on Monday, is the appliance of that application. So for centers of excellence around entrepreneurship, like a venture capitalist, like an office of technology management or an incubator at a university, they have an incredible amount of metadata. And what they end up doing is protecting their data while at the same time being able to collaborate it. So, excuse me, you might know that when a VC invests, they'll take a portion of the round and they'll typically tell you to go and get others to finish that round. Well, we'll allow them to, while they protect their intellectual property, literally share it for a week or a month or as long as they like, in perpetuity if he's your accountant, for example. And you can share as little or as much as you like. So if you're considering investing in my company, you might want to see my business plan and my financials, but you don't want to see my long form, show me the easy plan. Okay, great. So I'll share it with you, Rich. I'll share the permissions that you can view it. You can further share it if you like, if I grant you that permission, which means that if you want to share it with your stakeholder group, you can. But I didn't give you the permission to edit it. So, and I say that you can do that for 2 weeks, for example. And so 2 weeks from now, that'll expire. You can either choose to invest or not. If you do invest and you're one of my investors, you have an investor profile and you can have full access to everything that you would at your permission level.
So could you upload information from companies that aren't necessarily using the service at the moment and use that as a comparison tool? In other words, let's say I've launched 5 or 10 companies over the years and each one of them matured and was either purchased or went bankrupt, let's say, and now none of them are around, so they can't become your customer. Am I able to just take all that data, the back data, and just take the spreadsheets and import? You're saying yes?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay, so what
we
is
import
it,
from
Peachtree,
QuickBooks.
or what do you use?
Yes, thank you. We do, so we import natively from QuickBooks. We will import from Peachtree, any CSV file. We import from LinkedIn, from Facebook, from Salesforce.com, from literally hundreds of email providers. So our contact aggregation, before we collaborate, we have a contact database. And if we collaborate with you, then you're a collaborator in a subset of that database. Similarly, out of our CRM application, a lead becomes a subset, comes from the contacts.
Right.
So our data structure is really our brilliance, because we can really granularly share everything that we've got and put permission levels on it and durations. You know, we're compared to SharePoint because while you can write your document within my business planning tool, it's really the implementation of the Google API set that we've integrated with. We've integrated with the Google Document Viewer and their visualization API, which gives us the ability to allow you to create that. But what we really do is we manage the access to it.
So I sense that maybe even potential for professional services down the road to be able to help investors try to tap into this wealth of data that over time will be accumulated to say that, you know, these are areas of red flags in case the investors don't want to do this themselves or don't want to spend the time to have their own team or money to have their own team to do this.
Yes, I mean, the investor community today, you know, you can look at them from stages. And in our organization with Quipu apps, it's a full app with a blog. So we are a MySQL data structure with a PHP application and a Sencha front end, which gives us a really rich user interface.
Which was the front end? What did you say?
Sencha.
Okay.
And what that enables us to do is do very rich application like HTML, PHP in this case, right? So we can literally, our dashboard, for example, is the aggregation of, if I were to give you a demo, it's the aggregation of my 8 products that we are currently selling. Whereas if you were the venture capitalist, it's the aggregation of your entire profile, of your entire portfolio.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for being on the program. This is very exciting.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.